Hi all, welcome to another episode of Dynamic Syndications TV. This morning we're here at Rosehill and with Sydney's leading trainer, Chris Waller. Rosehill's #1 trainer, Chris Waller. Welcome to Dynamic TV.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, Ed.
Chris, last year, the 2010-2011 season, saw you take out your first training premiership here in Australia. Not that long ago that you only came across the ditch with a team of 4 horses. On the back of some good success here, bringing some horses over from New Zealand. It's been a meteoric rise to the top. Can you give our audience a bit of background about yourself coming over and how you've exploded from a team of 4 horses to quite a big operation here at Rosehill?
Well, I guess it's just been a number of small things, Adam. Nothing serious, nothing huge, in my opinion, just small steps. And I think what we've shown is anybody can do it. I don't confess to being sort of a genius, but just had good people around me, good systems in place, and a loyal bunch of owners, which is very important. And we've continued to grow and keep the owners that we've had right from the start. And I think that's a big key, is just building on what you already have. And with that come city winners, listed winners, group winners, and Group 1 winners. And then, of course, last year a premiership.
That's great. Can you remember your first winner here in Australia?
Yeah, it was a horse called Party Bell. She came over here as a travelling companion for a horse that we brought over before he even set up in Sydney. And the main horse we brought over went a miss, and she was the travelling companion, as I say. Had her first start at Goulburn and was beaten. Had a couple of starts at Kembla, and then she finally won over 2100 metres at Wyong. And she subsequently went on to win 3 in a row. Went back home with her, came back the next year. She hadn't won a race in New Zealand, and she won 3 in a row again. This time they were at Warwick Farm and 2 at Randwick. So gave me the taste of training in Sydney. We then went back home and then came back a few years later with a bit of confidence, knowing that we could train winners here.
Chris, you have 117 boxes here at Rosehill. How many horses does that equivalent to on the books roughly?
About 240, Adam. Our original business model had 1 horse in the stable and another 2 in the paddock or pre-training. But we've managed to keep our horses in longer, and therefore it's basically a one-on-one type basis. We've got 1 out there ready to come in. And that's just the modern way of training. Keep your horses in longer, keep them racing for more starts in preparation, because the most expensive part is getting the horse to the races, getting it fit. Once you've got it there, it's just a matter of maintaining it. So that's why we have a lot of runners. We try and keep our horses going and reaching their potential a lot quicker than they normally would if you give them more spells.
Chris, your first Group 1 result was with Triple Honour in the 2008 Doncaster. Since then, you've tasted success at the highest level on quite a few occasions. To you and your family, what has been the most satisfying result so far?
Well, in racing, it's certainly been Triple Honour. That was the most memorable win, and it came at a great time. It gave me the confidence to know that I could perform as a trainer on the highest stage. And training horses, you need a bit of self-confidence, and that's what has helped boost my self-confidence, and things have flown on quite quickly from there. So that was certainly the most significant point.
A day in the life of any horse trainer is a busy day. Can you give our audience a bit of a background what a day in the life of Chris Waller entails?
Well, basically, I just try and keep ahead of the work, and that creates a lot of planning, whether it be horses, staff, business plans, things like that. So we're always trying to keep well in advance. So the day for me starts at 3 o'clock. I get up, have a shower, freshen up, and drive to work. Turn the phone on when I get to work, and we start at 3:40, and I like to be here to greet all the staff, walk around all the horses just to see how they are from overnight, have a quick meeting with the foreman, and then I head on out to the middle of the track about 4 o'clock in the morning. First horses start to filter out about 4:20. My assistant trainer, Peter Muscat, joins me at that stage, and we just talk to the riders before they go out onto the track, and once again they come past us coming back to report on the horses, any problems or how they've worked. At 7:30 we come back in from the track, we have a quick meeting with the vet and give him his daily work, and once again come back up for a little bit of office work, then have another meeting with the foreman, looking around all the horses individually, and the staff finish basically 9:30 of the morning, and then the office work starts again. So have a meeting with our racing manager Liam Pryor and go through nominations, acceptances, jockeys, and then other business errands occur from there, as well as regular reports. We're big on updating our owners and making sure they get information regularly, which cuts down the phone calls to me. Fortunately, by doing that, it keeps owners up to date with what's happening, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak, and it just helps them be on the same playing field as I am, knowing what's happening, no surprises. That's the key, in my opinion. In the afternoon, the staff come back to work about 2:20, and once again I just go down for a quick look and see a few horses swim, check out a few problems if there are a few problems that have occurred in the morning, and just try and interact with the staff and the horses. They're finished at 5, and I just do a little bit more office work from there, preparing for the morning. I'm at home at 6 and the phone's turned off at 6. That's the way that I've managed to deal with my business and keep my home life separate from racing, and it allows me to keep a fresh head and come back in the morning, and you'd be quite surprised. You turn the phone on and there's very few messages from overnight, and people respect that private time that I've got.
That's great. On average, Chris, how long does it take under the Chris Waller training model to get a horse into your stable before we're ready to go racing?
We like to give our horses plenty of time, and I've never really broken down into percentages but I would imagine 10% of horses get to the races in their first ever preparation. So most horses are coming backwards and forwards, doing as much as they can without putting too much pressure on them. As you'll see with our stable, we have a lot of older horses racing, and that's simply only possible by having patient owners and looking after your horses early. So that's the first thing I try and suggest to owners, is just be patient, bear with us, and just do little pieces of work and see how the horses cope, and then go from there. So realistically, a horse might come into work 3 or 4 times before it actually gets to the races, but when it does get to the races, it's ready to perform at a city level. We don't really take horses to the provincials. The majority of our winners come in the city, and there they have 1 or 2 starts, come back, next preparation, it's good to have 4 or 5 starts, and from then they can have your long preparations and may have 10, 12 runs. And it's all about getting the horse to the races, being competitive. In my opinion, every man or lady's dream is just to have a city class horse, go into the races 8, 10 times a year with their mates, having a bit of fun, and that's our ultimate goal. From that, we get a few horses that rise to the top to this group races, but there's nothing different for them. They just go through the same mould as any other horse.
That's great. From when you get a horse in, following on from the pre-training, can you let the owners know what steps it takes to then get that horse through to the races?
Well, once again, it's just a matter of small steps. The horse can only handle so much pressure, mentally and physically. So it's not a matter of just taking the horse out onto the track and say it's a 1200 metre horse, galloping it over 1200 metres and seeing how fast it runs. You could do that once. The horse will probably struggle, and it wouldn't have injuries, but it would struggle with its eating, and it would then start getting stressed, and through that the horses get despondent. Probably similar to a person running a marathon, the first day's work, or a 16-year-old kid asked to do an Ironman competition. It's a big task. So it's small steps to getting them to that level and seeing what they can handle. Just gradual galloping over short distances. A horse, for example, racing over 1200 metres would never gallop over 1200 metres. A horse racing over 2000 metres, once again, the furthest work it can do would probably be over 1600 metres because they've got a rider on, normally a heavy rider. You've also got to consider the horse doesn't just stop at the winning post. It goes another 800,000 metres to pull up. So that's all incorporated in their work as well. So probably getting away from your question a little bit, but just small steps to get a horse to the races as quickly as we can. We normally work off an 8-week program to get a horse to a trial. I normally need 2 trials to educate them and also to get them fit, and then it's off to the races, providing they've shown in those trials that they're competitive enough to race.
Great. You spoke briefly earlier about the role of the vet. I know Dr. Tim Roberts, who's a great supporter of Dynamics Indications, has been one of your loyal vets all the way through. Can you explain a little bit about the role of Dr. Tim and what he's meant to your stable over your rise to the top?
Well, Tim's been like a father figure to me here in Australia. He's been there from day one. He's the only vet we've had, and his colleagues, of course. But more than just a great vet, he's a personal friend. He's helped me get to where I've got, helped me with owners, syndicators like yourselves. He's just great for introductions, and he follows that through and makes sure things work. I've learned so much of Tim, and yeah, I'm very grateful for what he's done. Right to Matt today, he will come in and go through the stable and say, well, this is not quite right, or we need to change this. Just small changes, and through his experience with numbers of horses, he can cut through the little things of endless costs that you might go through X-raying horses, which all adds up for the owners. And Tim's very conscious of not overcharging, and through his experience, once again, he allows to make the right decisions, and it not only saves money, but it reduces the risk of breaking horses down or the wastage of horses, and we get very few problems, and I put a lot of that down to Tim and his experience.
Chris, finally, apart from more winners, what goals does Chris Waller Racing have over the next 5 years?
I don't set goals, but we're very competitive week in, week out. We concentrate on city races, whether it be midweek or Saturdays, and that's what adds up at the end of the year. Once again, we're winning midweek races and Saturday races. Cream then rises to win listed group races. So that's all we've done over the past few years. It's worked, and there's no reason to change as yet. Obviously, we want to win Golden Slippers, Melbourne Cups, all the big races, but we don't go out of our way to do it. We just go through those simple techniques that we've discussed, and once again the cream rises, and that's the beauty of racing. You don't know where the next takeover target, where the next Makybe Diva, the next Sunlight, Black Caviar are coming from. They've all started through the type of system that we use. They don't show anything out of the ordinary. They're just great athletes, great horses with endless supplies of ability, and just the beauty of the game. It might be the richest man in the world, it might be a taxi driver that might take home a target, it could be anybody that's going to get the next great horse, and that's what we work towards. Everyone's welcome in the stable, every horse is welcome in the stable, and through that we have a lot of fun and hopefully get many winners ahead.
Beautiful. Chris, thanks for spending time with Dynamic TV.
Pleasure. Thanks.